Thanks for joining us as we take a closer look at the future of the Space Agency, otherwise known as...
Can fundamental Islam get us to the moon?
Indeed. My name is Dr. Winston Peabody, lead rocket scientist, program manager, and Kafir liaison. I am joined by...
Eric from Your Brother in Christ.
What?
Your Brother in Christ. Christian apologist, polemics, and evangelism.
This should be interesting.
It's gotta be. There'll be some fun.
As a part of our public relations outreach to these people, we are going to demonstrate how the Space Agency will get us to the moon and establish the first Islamic space colony. We will demonstrate this by playing the card game Hajj the Gathering. So, getting us to the moon, I know I have the perfect deck here, the perfect cards. They're all combined and they're well played. The first thing that we need to do is to have the money and the resources to get there. We can get that. We have gathered the resources from all the Islamic states around the world. From all the Ummah have benefited by giving their alms, and with Allah giving back to them tenfold, they've given more, and we've squeezed them. They've all willingly given money to the Space Agency, and so now we can launch. So my first card I shall play shall be the space launch.
Well, where are you going to launch from?
Well, you have to have the best place to launch is from the equator, because you've got the center of the Earth, the circumference of the Earth, and centrifugal force is better to move. It needs less energy to go. If you take the what?
I'm going to play the flat Earth card because according to the Quran, the world is flat, so that doesn't actually matter.
Where does it say that?
In Quran 88:20. It's actually right there on the card. It's very convenient.
Well, that is a metaphor, not what it actually says. It means something else. It's not really flat, because obviously we know that the Earth is not flat. The Earth is a sphere, and you can go by the equator.
You're not going to like this. Because, according to the Quran, Dhul Qarnayn, who is widely accepted as Alexander the Great, found the setting place of the sun, and I'll tap that one, which allows me to search my deck, and find the place where Dhul Qarnayn found the rising of the sun, and play that one as well. So it's not metaphorical, it is literal.
Well, I was hoping to say this for later, but Allah knows best.
Oh, Allah knows best. Okay, well, Allah knows that the world's flat.
Card.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Card. You cannot counter that. That's just, you are wasted.
Well, okay,
we're heading for the moon.
Your rocket shoots off, but you have issues because you've got to go through the solid sky, according to the Quran, because it says that the sky is a roof. It is solid as can be. In fact, Allah holds it up. If He didn't, it would fall and flatten all of us.
That only works if you don't use math, because, as you know, we have the best scientists, the best mathematicians, and I shall use algebra.
So you use algebra to fly around.
Yes, and
the completely solid sky.
I'm going to tap that and going to add navigation, because you
gotta navigate somehow, I guess.
Algebra. We can do that.
Well, the problem with that is you have got not just one, but 7 heavens to go through. And on top of that, I'll tap that and pull in 7 earths as well. So you have 7 heavens above us, 7 earths below, according to
Where do you get... Where... 65, 12... I think this is cheating.
Nope, it's all there.
Quran 65.
I did not make this up.
12, Quran 67.
Believe me, I can make up something much better than the Quran. It's not that hard.
All right. That must be. Oh, look! A camel!
You played Metaphor again? Wait, hold on. You already used that card.
It's not cheating. It's done right. And I can do that because in Islam...
It's a Kia card, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can do it. Dr. Winston Peabody.
Well, the problem with it being metaphor is that Mohamad, and this is widely accepted, physically traveled during his night journey to all 7 heavens. So he physically traveled there on a horse. Not a carpet, but it works.
I think I remember that. We don't have any of those horses or carpets anymore, so we have to use a rocket. So I will say that I was hoping to say this for later, but the Muslim shuffle. Look.
New topic.
New topic. It's not the same thing. Oh, I'm going to talk about something else now, totally different. And then I'm going to play that the sun and the moon follow each other. So all we need to do is we just need to follow the sun and we shall find the moon. Because it says so in Quran 36, 38 through 40.
Well, the problem with that is in order to get there, you have to go through the lowest heaven, which is where all the stars are. Because they're all right there close to Earth. And then, on top of that, they're shooting. They shoot at the devils who try to sneak into heaven. And guess what? They might just go ahead and shoot you anyway because you're trying to sneak into heaven.
I don't know what to do! I shall play the best card of all. Inshallah. Fate will get us there. If Allah wills, we shall make it to the moon. And he does. And so therefore, we shall make it to the moon. Nothing you say can counter that. Nothing at all. Because the moon is most powerful. And we shall get to the moon.
Well, the problem is, which side of the moon are you going to go to? Because according to the Quran, the moon split in 2. So which side? The right or left? The Quran doesn't say it came back together, just says it split.
I hadn't thought about that. Well, I shall say that it's just a stretch, but I'll try it anyway. Lunar timing. It doesn't matter which one I go to because everything is laid out in lunar timing according to we have the prayers, we have the feasts, we have everything set out. It's lunar timing is perfect in the Quran. Nothing, don't care if it's 1 piece, 2 pieces, 30 pieces. It does not matter. We're going to the moon. We've made it, baby.
Okay.
What's that card?
Ramadan fasting. How are you going to fast on the moon? The lunar days are 28 Earth days long. So that's 28 days of no food, no water.
You can't even eat during the night?
Well, you could eat during the night, 28 days long nights. So you got a long time to eat.
No one's going to do that. Oh, I give up. No true Muslim could ever live on the moon. It's haram. There's no way. I quit. I'm done. Mr. Dr. Peabody, It's out of here. Game over.
This is your live stream.
Oh, yeah, that's
You
right.
can't actually leave.
Yeah. Okay.
He's running away.
I'm running away. Okay. So this is a way to demonstrate that maybe space travel, when you get down to it, space travel and colonization on other planets would conflict with strictly held Islamic beliefs. According to the Quran and Hadiths, you wouldn't be able to do this. So for those guys who've been hanging out in the chat, we're finally going to get to you, since we had, been pulling our shenanigans over here and having fun playing this game. And so I want to see what the comments are. This might be a short live stream since he beat me, and that's not fair because he doesn't have the Takia card. Only I have the Takia card, so therefore I should be able to defeat him.
Boom.
I thought that was Professor Peabody's boy share. Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys remember that? I was wondering if. Yeah, I'm not copywriting anything. This was totally made up. All at one time. And so I appreciate you. These guys are. I'd say that I had fun making these cards, and yeah. I'm sure that you can come up with some other phrases on here. There are some that were just, if you read them, like the 7. Where was it? I'm going to bring that up.
You can go through the cards again.
This is
fun.
There were some fun ones. Quick. And this is a nasty guy here. And this is Hodge the Gathering. And it's to be sold by Ronco. Sold separately. Batteries not included. And you have, which one was I looking for? I was looking for this, the Heavens. Okay, here we the 7 Heavens. Where are all the versions at? So yeah, you got to get some of your own there too.
Well, let's just go through from the beginning. Just
okay, we could do that.
Examine them.
I will. I got one
just
more.
Fluffed them up there for a little bit.
Might be C1 J-ons. No, that was Peabody. No, that was not me. That was Peabody. My alter identities. Like this is Superman. This is Peabody. Okay. Got to get that straight. I have just revealed my my alternate identity. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up these cards. Do you really want me to bring these up?
Yeah,
again.
Yeah, take a look at them. You already flashed them up there for a second.
All right. And I tried to put the Quranic verses on here too, as references for them when we had something there. Maybe I think there's one in here that has a teeth reference as well.
Yes.
So. Yeah, this one I didn't because there was no reference for it, just saying, hey, we're going to fly to the moon. And then this one does. And I believe, that's the actual Arabic there for both those verses.
And something, I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, you're trying to read some of the Arabic there?
I can grasp some of it.
He says,
I'm getting there.
Davos is correcting himself. He said Peabody 0. Yes, that's right, buddy. Don't you forget it.
So yeah, actually the Quran says the Earth is flat like 12 times, over 12 times.
Okay.
So there's way too many references.
So this is not just the Hadiths that are quoting.
No, this is the Quran. This is direct Quran.
The Quran itself. Okay.
It talks about it being laid out flat, like a bed. It's all smooth, so you could walk on it. And then he decided to put down mountains as pegs, so the Earth would stop shaking.
Okay, so
didn't work so well.
So here is something maybe to counter this a little bit, is to say that, well, doesn't the Bible also have word pictures that it uses of the stars or the Earth? Doesn't God use aren't there verses in the Bible that say something similar to this? And
again,
so
it matters from perspective.
Okay.
Because who's the one who's saying it? I was just actually in prep for this live stream, listing some rebuttals from Muslims, and that's what they go to. They go to the Bible, and they'll go to like the Psalms, and they say, see, here in the Psalms, the Bible says that the Earth is flat or smooth or something like that. And I'm like, but that's not God speaking. It's not the direct words of God. It's a song.
Well, okay, so let's
metaphorical.
Let's clarify that a bit. I think the best argument against that is that there is different types of literature within the Bible than there is in just the Quran. The Quran is direct dictation from Allah, supposedly, through an angel
Gabriel.
to Muhammad, right?
And this explains why they have no issue with the Hadith, considering that they've already got like a chain of narration with the Quran too.
Okay, so you have that. It is dictation, where the Bible is there's a different type of inspiration that's going there, and you have these different literature. You've got historical literature, you've got poetry, which the Psalms would fall under, and you have law. That is a direct dictation. So the law. I'm saying not that God is dictating there, but the law given to Moses was probably the closest that you would have to what Muhammad had got.
Well, there's other times in the prophets that so says the Lord XYZ. That would be probably the closest,
right? Or if Jesus
really
himself is speaking, then that would be these are just. But if somebody says something in the Old Testament or even in the New Testament, someone's talking to someone else in the book of Acts, it says, "Go do this." It's not God speaking. This is just a historical narration of somebody saying something. So it's not like God is definitely saying this, right?
Yeah, it's not like
And you don't have an historical section in the Quran, right?
No,
it's just straight dictation there.
Straight dictation. You got to go to the Hadith for most of the backstory.
Okay. So
most of the stories don't even have a beginning.
So because of that, and because Psalms and the poetic literature that's in the Old Testament, several books there, those would not be taken. They're not supposed to be taken literally because they are word pictures. And also a lot of the prophetic books were also like that as well, where they say that Israel is like a she-goat wandering in the desert in heat, just going to left to right, just leaving God and just going there. And to say God is like this, there's metaphorical, and that's our metaphor card that we have here, right?
Yeah, that would be the next one.
Yeah,
metaphor card. And again, I could see where even in the Quran, where it says all the times that basically the earth is flat, okay, you can make that argument, except for the sections where it doubles down. It's like you can't leave the stupid alone. It's got to double down on the stupid.
Okay.
And then you get the story of Dhul Qarnayn, who is Alexander the Great, according to Muslim scholars, who goes and finds the rising of the sun, and he finds it, setting of the sun, and he finds it setting in a muddy spring of water, and all around this, so it's not just like, oh, he's looking out in the ocean, he sees it setting in the ocean. Again, this is not from his perspective either. Yeah. This is from God saying, this is what happened. That he finds a people living all around where that muddy spring is.
Okay.
And they can see the sun setting into it. And then he goes to the rising of it and he finds a people that the sun rises on that has no protection from the sun rising.
Okay, so now you have, so let's take a look at the book of Revelation. And Revelation is another unique, it is a unique type of literature called apocalyptic literature. It is written differently. It's not necessarily poetic. You really don't have poetry, an entire book, a poetry book in the New Testament. You have in the Old Testament, not in the New Testament. So apocryphal books, and you look at the genre type of the day that would have been used during that time. And to say that there are symbols and analogies that are given there that have deep meaning because they're related. For example, in Revelation, he talks a lot about Babylon. Babylon. What looks like he's really talking about is the Roman Empire. Well, he's a prisoner in Rome on the island of Patmos. As a prisoner, you were watched closely, and if you're sending letters out, they are likely checking your letters, which Revelation would have been going out as letters to the 7 churches with an attachment of the revelation that John had seen as well. So that's going out from prison. He's not going to say, these Romans, they stink. They're terrible. You just cannot trust them. And so because it's got to pass by the guards. So he uses Babylon, and Babylon in the Jewish mind, they remember they took us. We were captive in Babylon for 70 years. We're under their rule. We're suppressed by them. The Romans were thinking, I don't care you can say what you want about Babylon. It's no big deal. Just don't say anything against the emperor. And so that would allow it to pass and other things like that. So these illustrations that you have here would not be direct, like talking about an historical figure here. They're talking about other things in a different way. So definitely in apocalyptic literature, you would want to say that. I'm going to check the chat real quick, unless you had.
Nope, go ahead.
And
we can move on to the next
Okay.
card.
Yep.
Got to go. God bless everyone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See you, bud.
So we have dual Cardane and Carnane, sorry.
Dual Carnane. Yep.
And then we have the Allah knows best. Don't make me come down there.
The very fact that
I said so.
You got the picture of Allah there is hilarious. So you got 2 arms. Well, it's not exact, but it's pretty close. Actually, it's really close because Allah does have another arm. Does have 1 left arm, 2 right arms.
So you can't see it. So
I see.
Or he's waving. So
you can't tell how many eyes he has because he's supposed to have, I think, like 3 eyes.
Okay.
Some monstrosity, really is.
Okay.
With 1 foot, but you got the foot right because
all right. So I'm going to throw another curveball at you. Doesn't the Psalms depict God in different ways? And how, isn't this the same thing here?
Well, again, the Psalms are not God describing himself.
Well, they're poetic literature, right?
Yep.
It's a different type of literature where it is not intended to be taken.
No, and this is intended to be taken literally because they can't even say, like, for example, you've got the whole leg there. Muslims can't say that he has a whole leg. They can only say what he has. He has a shin. And you don't know how that shin is attached. It's just there.
Carol says, "Don't make me hop on down there." Yes, with the 1 leg. Yeah, that would be one. So then the next card would be played as this is the sky is solid.
According to Quran, it's solid. It needs to be held up because if it's not held up, it would smash all of us. And Allah is spending his entire time holding up the Quran. Actually, it sounds a lot like it wasn't Icarus. Atlas, right? The Greek god who holds up the earth. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Atlas.
Is Atlas? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Atlas, but I wasn't 100% sure it was.
Okay.
But yeah, so it sounds a lot like that pagan concept where it needs to be held up physically.
Well, okay, so I would put a little bit of defense there for the Bible too, to say that the Bible is not intended to be a scientific book. It is not. Nope. When it lays things out, it's going to be, it's speaking to an audience that does not understand quantum physics. It does not understand the speed of light constant. It does not. They do not understand a lot of principles there. So there's a lot of hand waving that would go on, and we even use a lot of that hand waving right now when we say sunrise and sunset. The sun is not rising. The earth is rotating. The sun appears over the horizon because we're the ones that are moving here. Now, is the sun moving? Yes, it's moving within the galaxy, and the galaxy is moving within the supercluster and so on and so forth, but not in the same way. So we use these analogous terms all the time, correct?
Yep.
So I couldn't fault them directly for that, but are they saying specifically?
This is literal.
Okay.
The Quran is the literal words of Allah.
Okay.
Not metaphor.
Well, like when Jesus says, "I am the door," we're not saying
we're not saying he is the door.
Are you oak? Are you one of those split doors? Are you, he is not saying he's physically a door. He says it is through me that you get to the Father.
No, and this is in the Quran is talking about Allah's provision, that he is the one who's protecting us from the sky falling down on us.
Okay. And then we have algebra, which
find X. That's right there.
That's right there. I don't think we need it. I would like to go over later at another time talking about the history of science in Christianity versus the history of science in Islam, and do the comparison of the two side by side. We maybe go
well, even like algebra here, just real quick. They expanded it, but it wasn't their invention. It was the Greeks. And they took it from the Greeks and then modified it from there.
Right. And I forget the guy's name. Didn't he like categorize them and pull the different ones together? So more of like a librarian type of.
Yeah. Yeah. So although Muslims nowadays will say that they invented algebra, they'll claim it all. And it's like, no, you took it by force. You took it. And yes, you collected it, might have added to it afterwards, but it's not your original concept.
Okay. And so then navigation goes with that. Needed to know where things are. And navigation is something that's very important in Islam, right? You have to know
where's Mecca. It's a great example. And that's a good question for being on the moon. Yeah, which way are you going to pray?
Well, the same thing on Earth here is you pray in the cardinal directions, but if in 3D, Mecca might be more at a, what's your Z-axis for Mecca? Do you have to like go on a tilt?
Yeah.
Playing the, I feel sorry for the guy that's
higher
on the
up.
Yeah,
you
on
gotta
the other side.
You got to pray on your head.
I don't know. It just keeps on going like that. So that and we were talking about this before. What if you're on Mars?
Oof.
And trying to figure out which way Mecca is.
You just have to pray towards
the Earth is rotating, revolving around the sun, and so is Mars. But they're not necessarily in sync. They're just going around, and so it'd be difficult. Now, if you're another solar system,
you just pray towards the star. Right?
Well, that would be actually a little bit easier because it's just towards that particular star.
But even then, stars move in the sky. Well, because of the orbit and everything else moves. So you'd have to constantly check.
That is true.
5 times a day. Where exactly is it?
The sky is moving because the planet that you're on is rotating again, just like the sunrise and sunset, right? So, yeah, that could be difficult. So then you have the 7 heavens and the 7 earths. That concept. Now, didn't Paul did talk about
going to having a vision or a dream of going to multiple heavens. The issue is, again, one is literal, one is not.
Okay.
One is definitely intended to be either a vision or a dream. One is, as the Muslim scholars say, is literal. In fact, the story of the night journey is where Muslims put at least claim ownership over Jerusalem.
Right.
Because Muhammad's supposed to have traveled to Jerusalem and from there traveled up into the heavens, meeting multiple biblical characters as he went through the heavens. Actually ends up showing Moses as the most merciful, definitely more merciful than Allah.
Almost sounds like the Transfiguration.
Almost. Very similar in a lot of ways, this claim.
Except Jesus didn't travel.
Yeah.
He was up just with his disciples on the mountain when that happened.
And, the holy people came to him.
Right.
Where Muhammad's got to go to all these holy people.
Physically.
And he's physically going through these gates to go through the heavens, each one of them. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to compare that to the book of Revelation to see where that is.
The Hadith is a long one. This is the one that was based off, not this one, but his night journey.
Oh.
It's the one based off of the Hadith, because I think that's all the way down to 13, the 13th card.
Okay, this is one here where he travels.
Yeah, not flying carpet, but eh.
Okay, so this other one here was an interesting one. When I first heard about taqiyya, I really raised my eyebrows, because in Christianity you're seeking the truth. The truth is going to set you free, and Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And so the world presents lies, and we're going to God, who there is no lie found in him, is different from the God of Islam, Allah, who is the greatest of all
deceivers, according to the Quran, and that could also have been used here. The verse specifically, I can't remember the verse number. I should be better at this by now, But the verse says that they deceived and Allah deceived, and Allah is the greatest of deceivers. Is talking about the Jesus being put to the cross, and that Allah didn't allow Jesus go. He substituted someone else in his place and deceived everyone into believing in Christianity and the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
So Allah also created Christianity.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah.
So
yeah, it's a puzzle.
But with taqiyya, you can lie for the sake of promoting. I think there's like 3 rules for this, right? 3 things that you can lie for. There's the promotion of the ummah, of making peace among the
ummah,
the other Muslims, right?
Yep, within itself.
Within Islam. There's the promotion, and also there's the height. Something about hiding. I don't remember. I didn't plan on doing this. So
you can lie to make Islam look better. And now there's this is not just you can. You are obligated to lie.
Okay.
In situations where it will make Islam look more appealing to non-believers.
Okay. And so this to me is like, this is a killer in any kind of debate, because I go with the assumption that they're a truth seeker like I am, which is in many cases. Now, there's some cases where that's true, right? Where you do have people that are actually seeking the truth.
I've had many conversations with Muslims who are actually eagerly seeking the truth, and I've had many conversations with Muslims who are just there to lie.
And that to me, the conversation's over. You're not going to bother. I wouldn't bother going any further with somebody like that, because they are not interested in finding the truth. They're interested in winning at all costs.
That's why I make a bunch of confetti.
Yeah. Okay. So we got the next one. I think we skipped a couple here, but replayed the metaphor card because of taqiyya that I could do that. And then we have the traveling salesman there. And then we've got don't blink. The Muslim shuffle. This is a nickname given. It's not actually in the Quran, but it's a nickname given to a tactic given in arguments, right?
Yes, by Dawah, yes, who will instantly shuffle. Once you peg them on one topic, they will shuffle to the next while claiming you are the one who is running from their questions.
I've seen this many times.
Oh yeah,
and this goes hand in hand with the whole sleight of hand taqiyya thing, where if you're really trying to seek the truth, you would want to nail down that thing. And even if it's easy on an argument to get sidetracked and go down different. But if you're actually trying to get to the truth, you could be guided back and say, okay, well, let's solve this before we move on, which is what you want to do, right? Yep. If you're actually
looking at the truth and saying, hey, I believe in this and I want to nail this down. No, you wouldn't shuffle to the others. You would say, well, I need to research them more. I need to look into it more. Can we talk about something else? And be honest with it, where the Muslim shuffle is, well, they'll shift it without making it appear as if they've shifted it.
Okay. That is a big one. And then this is another quote from is this from the Quran here? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
36.
The only one the only one I used was the Mohamad traveling, because there's not actually an explanation in the Quran.
That was the Hadith one. Okay. That's the Hadith. So this is a quote saying the sun and moon. Now, this is another perspective from the earth, just like seeing the stars embedded in the sky. Now, the Bible does talk about the firmament too. It's like it is there, but again, from their perspective, not that it was actually he's trying to talk to people in the 7th century here. Muhammad is trying to talk to people from 7th century. He's got to be able to use analogies that they can understand, right?
True, except it is Allah who's saying that the moon follows the sun. And it's used as an example, if memory serves, in the Quran itself. It's not saying, look, it's saying this is what I put in place. Here you go. See how the moon follows the sun. It's
Okay.
like, wait, hold on.
And with so the whole astrological, all these things coming together, what their picture of astronomy is based on, if you look at this one here, that the stars are close to the Earth.
The stars are in the lowest heaven. There's a lot of things we could have taken with this from here, because there's a few other examples of the lowest heaven being referred to. But yeah, the stars being in the lowest heaven, they are right there near. They are lights that are placed up there to adorn the sky, and Allah can use them as shooting stars at demons who try to sneak in to hear Allah's plans.
Okay.
We could have also gone with Allah entering into creation, entering down to the seventh heaven in order to hear if anyone is praying to him. We could have also taken
that would have been
is,
an interesting one. So
yes.
he would have to. So Allah has to come down at a certain time in the morning, right?
Well, it's
early in the morning, or
last third of the night. Good luck on knowing when that actually is, because time zones.
Okay, so maybe it's as the Earth turns, but then the two things that are going on there that are different from the God of Islam versus the God of Judaism and Christianity, which the God of Yahweh, of Judaism and Christianity, is omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient. Yep. So he's all-knowing and everywhere present. This would contradict
because it doesn't
that, right?
Yeah, because the Hadith specifically say that he lowers himself down there and then starts asking the question, is anyone praying to me? Can I hear anyone? And I'm like, what do you mean? Can you not hear them from your throne? Yeah. Are you not everywhere and all-knowing as described in the Bible? Well, no, you're not. Because, again, this is a pagan god who is made up by a pagan in order to fit this rule.
Okay. So let me ask you a question then. Why do we need to pray at all if God knows everything anyway? Why does he need any input from us?
Now, you see, that's very interesting, because it's complete. We use the same words to describe things, but it's not the same.
Not the same.
So in Islam, prayer is a form of worship. You do it in obedience to Allah. Other than just getting goodie points, there really is no point in it. Where in Christianity, prayer is communication with God. You're participating with him, and you get the opportunity to play along. And again, I look at my own relationship with my kid. I do a lot of things with my children that I could do much better on my own, much faster, much more efficiently, if they weren't involved. But as a father, I enjoy having them participate, even if they are just there failing.
Okay.
And making a mess of it. I enjoy being there.
So Christian prayer would be more that you're engaging with the Father and working with him on whatever project. You are a part of the process.
You're part of the process. You get the opportunity to be there with him.
He doesn't need you. It has more to do with the relationship and how it affects you as a person, not so much that it forces God's hand to do things that God has to hear, come down and actually listen to you, because he can only listen at certain times of the day and in certain altitudes, I guess.
And that's something that's very common with paganism, is the concept of God being a slot machine.
Oh.
You do something and that forces God to do X.
Metaphysics.
And that's not how Christianity is. It is relationship. God will do it if he's willing to do it. Okay. It's not because you do the special thing.
So the cosmology here of Islam, the strict Islam, would be there's multiple layers of Earth. There's multiple layers of heaven. This doesn't really show the layers.
Yeah, then there's stuff with goats.
But then you have embedded in the lowest layer of heaven, that's where the stars are.
And the stars, yes.
Okay. So if you're going to, honestly, if you're going to try to make it to the moon, colonize the moon, or even send out some probes to other planets, if you're following strict Islam, you're going to be bumping into stars trying to make it out to the planets.
Yes, and you better hope that none of the angels or Allah himself think that you're a demon trying to sneak in there,
Because
then
then you
start
got
throwing
this.
stars at you.
Okay, so that's how those two work together. And then the oft-used word inshallah, which means if God wills. There's a bit of fatalism here to go on to say if it happens, it happens. Now, you could say that there's also this in Christianity as well. To some degree, I would say that that's true, but I think it's maybe a higher level in Islam, right?
Well, it's very different because, again, they got the relationship in Christianity. We have the relationship with the Father, and if we say, well, if God wills it, it will happen, surrendering to God's will in that way goes along with trust. And that you do not have in Islam. You do not have the trust.
Because there's not consistency.
There's not consistency. Allah does not necessarily love you. There's no guarantee. Don't let anyone say that Allah loves them, because it's not true. And it's just the concept of Allah is doing his own thing. He doesn't work all things for good for those who love him. Where in Christianity, we can trust that God does that. We can trust in the character of God, and we have a relationship with him, a father and son, where in Islam, the highest form of relationship is you are just his property, and he will do with you whatever he feels like doing with you.
Wow, what a big difference that is. Since I grew up with Christianity, that's foreign to me. I had the tendency when I first looked at Islam to consider it just being maybe a different flavor of Christianity, more or less. It had the same concepts, that we're working with the same God, just a different name. We're working with the same kind of scripture. No, those are both totally wrong.
Yeah, that's a common mistake a lot of Christians do whenever they start looking into Islam, is making the assumption that, oh, they've got a book, we've got a book, oh, it must be the same sort of stuff. No, it comes from completely different. The fundamental beliefs of those two books are completely different, where you have the Bible, who's in the inspired word of God, and you have the Quran, which is the literal words of Allah. It makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
And vice versa. That also happens with
I
Muslims.
think it'd be good to do a live stream sometime where we're talking just the Bible side by side to the Quran and look at the fundamental differences between those.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of people that don't realize, they just look, okay, they're just different books. They're the same thing, right? It's the same God, same thing. It all ends up in the same place. And you look at both the scriptures, the practices, and how people live it out in day-to-day lives. They are very different.
They're very different, and I think that leads to quite a few Christians misunderstanding the positions of Muslims coming into it, and many Muslims misunderstanding the position of Christians coming into it. So there's a big divide there with this misunderstanding that the Bible and the Quran are basically just the same concept.
Yeah.
Being brought
forth.
You
can't look at Islam as just being maybe, it's just like another Christian denomination. It's just a little more different than the others, and that's no big deal. It's just the same. No, it's not. It's very much different than the others. So we have, with that goes, Islam is based heavily on cycles and timings and when things are supposed to be done, like prayers and fasts and feasts. Now, this is also had in the Old Testament with the law, that the Mosaic covenant, that you were supposed to do certain feasts at certain times and so forth, and that ritual is happening. But what's different here is that, for example, the going to the temple. Well, there has been no temple since 70 AD. So Jews cannot practice that part of the Old Testament with sacrificial system that was there. How are Muslims going to practice timings and everything like that are based on earth-born or earth-observed astrological phenomena? If you go to another planet, that phenomena is not going to be there. The timing, the rotation, the daytime, everything is going to be different.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not sure how you'd be able to set that up on another planet. Maybe just, they come with a fatwa or something that they would come out.
They're a ruling that would have to come down based upon it's basically just the scholars making up to whatever's most convenient to them.
Well, they would have to adjust in some way or another, because you would not have the same system here on the earth.
Nope.
So the last one we're going to look at here is what would this mean if you were actually trying to fulfill Ramadan on the moon itself, and the moon is used as the method for timing.
For when Ramadan starts and ends. Yes. For when you stop and start feasting, that's the sun.
That's the sun.
Rise and set, which is the huge issue.
Yeah. So both are messed up with this. And if you try to do the day, is it the day on Earth that you're following, or is it the day on the moon?
Well, strictly speaking, with how they've handled it on Earth, because there are time zones and the sun doesn't always set the same exact time all over the world, it is from sunrise to sunset, whatever that means. So if it's an 18-hour day, then it's 18 hours. You've got to go fast without eating. But if it's like where the sunrise and sun sets within, let's say, 12 hours of each other, it's a lot easier to fast during Ramadan during those time periods. In fact, I think it's even, Nabil talks about it in Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, where it's like, wow, some places where it was much easier to fast because it was shorter days.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So this eternal thing, one of the pillars of Islam, changes by geographic location.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at the chat here. We've gone through, and I think, these are I think we pretty much go. There are other arguments that can be done for this as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
so many.
The money pool.
These were just
we could do.
some we threw together.
Yeah,
for this one.
And
these cards are fun too.
They were fun. So yeah, and if you guys don't mind, give us a like. That greatly improves, and we're getting a lot of those, so I do appreciate that. And Andrew Martin says, Islam is anti-Christianity. It is. It really is. There was like a time in Muhammad's life, if that record is accurate, where he was like pro-Jewish, pro-Christian,
pro-Jew until he actually met them. He used them as basically a character witness. Said, "Hey, I'm one of these prophets who are in them, and they'll completely agree with me if you just talk to them. If you just go and actually say hi, they'll completely back me." And then as soon as that happened, they're like, "No, you're not. You don't fit the criteria at all." He's like, "Well, they're just making up stuff."
Yeah, I don't like you guys anymore. And then we had Thomas Hall saying, "I've been tempted to think LDS, Latter-day Saints, Mormons, and Islam are similar. There is an overlap, but wow, Allah is very different. LDS has CI."
The CI, I don't know what that
maybe it got cut off there, maybe closed or something like that. But yeah, so boy, that'd be another live stream to do.
Oh, yeah. There's so many comparisons between the two.
Islam and Mormonism.
Well, just even looking at Joseph Smith and Mohamad, there's so many parallels. They're playing from the same game. Playbook is crazy.
It'd be good to do a chart, side by side comparison of the two, and just go through boom, 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 boom.
Well, and to play those. You see Truth Defenders there, and I still every time I talk about Mormonism and Islam, remember the debate between him and Nadir.
Oh,
and where Nadir pulled up look at all these demon-possessed prophets and false prophets, and he had Paul on there. He had a bunch of other ones, and he had Joseph Smith on there. And I was just thinking, wait, how did Joseph Smith get his revelations again? How exactly? Because they sound very similar to Mohamad.
Yeah.
How did he know he was a prophet? It sounds very similar to Mohamad in a lot of ways. It was painful to watch. I was like, sorry, that was.
No, don't apologize. So Andrew Martin said Islam relies on a lunar calendar minus corrections to adjust to reality. And also, Jewish calendar, I believe, is a mix between the two. Is both the solar and lunar calendar probably shouldn't make that comment because I need to double check that. If I'm going from memory, that was the case. Islam is also relies on local sunrise and sunset, so it's local.
Geographical location.
Yeah.
Changes eternal matters.
For example, in far northern and southern latitudes, there's a continual sun or continual night. Yeah, how do you adjust
you
for
would
that?
not be able to do that. You've got 6 months of fasting.
Is there a
straight.
fatwa for that? I wonder.
I
be able
don't
to
know off the
adjust
top of
for
my
it?
head. I'd have to look into it.
Truth defenders. Muslims around the world use Islamic calendar, also known as the lunar or Hijri. I'm pronounced that incorrectly. Calendar to determine the dates of religious events and observances.
Yep.
So that's set up for them. You can even go into their websites. So you say what your location is. It'll tell you the times of prayer and stuff like that that are there as well. Your tarot cards are nifty. Thank you very much. And hey, yes, Truth Defenders is here, and it looks like we're getting a full house. And we have Thomas Hall's pretty superficial likeness, revelations, prophethood, new scripture, eventually polygamy, and some strange cosmic worlds. But yes, Allah is very different. He is not nice. Yeah. And I think that's maybe one of the
biggest differences, I'd say, between Mormonism and Islam.
I was going to say it's also a big surprise that Christians would have, especially Queers for Palestine, probably are not getting the correct picture here of what Allah would have to say about that, right? So,
yeah.
Not that that's a legitimate thing either in New Testament scripture. And sorry, I'm just going back and forth. Joseph Smith says it is so like Mo.
Yep.
Okay, so there are. Okay, so if we look at not necessarily Allah and the Mormon gods, plural, the similarity is there because there you get to the Muslims would have a hard time with the lack of oneness in Mormon theology, right?
Yes.
Because you become God.
You become
and God was once one like us, and then you got the Son and so forth. So there's that.
There's massive differences, but there are also massive similarities.
Then we have Thomas Hall saying LDS has been clearly influenced to move towards presenting themselves as just another denomination. Yeah, there's some sheltering within that. And I remember watching an interview by a Muslim, and he was interviewed, I think this is in the UK, and saying that, we should be coupled together with Christianity and Judaism. It's not fair that you're pushing us out. We're all Abrahamic traditions. We're all share scriptures. We all blah, 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 saying how we're all buddy, all the same. And, you should change your history so that it's not just Judeo-Christian tradition, it's Judeo-Christian Islamic tradition, and bring us in the fold until there's enough of us where we turn the tables and say, get out of here, Kafir, you owe us your jizya tax, and we're going to kill you if you say anything against Mohamad. So,
all right, saying, no.
Does
completely, it's the reason why it's Christian Judeo values, because those are in line with one another. Islam is not in any way, shape, or form in line with the other two once you start looking at their values.
Okay, so Carol is here. We got a real debate going on here. I really don't think that they are more than superficially similar or more than many modern cult movements. Muhammad's extreme psychological problems created vicious, controlling deity.
Yeah,
you look at
with daddy issues.
If you look at how Mormons behave versus a good jihadi, there's a real contrast there, right?
Oh, yeah. Massively different.
I could probably work within a group of Mormons fairly easily, but I don't think I could do the same with fundamental Muslims.
I couldn't.
You would say
they would kill me.
You would say too much. But within I'm talking about like within their own environment. So if you went to maybe, I don't know, I don't want to pull out a particular country by name, but if you went to a country that was 90% Islamic and you're working there with them, and their fundamental is Islamic. We're talking about Sharia law here. Working there versus going to like Utah, and you're within a stone's throw of the temple there. I'd much rather work with the Mormons. I think you could actually live and go home. Right?
Yeah, Mormons are nice.
In general
speaking.
Yes. Yeah. And it's probably reflected in who they follow with that. So Carol continues, she says, his revelations were delusions, whereas Smith was purely a fraudster.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's definitely...
I tell you what, this is a really good debate. We could actually just, not really so much debate, but a comparison.
Well, you could compare Joseph Smith did his own translation of the Bible, and you can definitely see where the verses, because all the verses that talk about him coming are all his own fabrication.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that, yeah, you knew exactly what you were doing. You were fabricating it. But...
See, I got my special glasses, and I can read
the
chats. He can't read the chat because these are my special pyramid glasses, and I can read them on the golden tablets right here.
Exactly.
Fraudster. The problem is that originally the direction of prayer assumed that Kaaba was in line of sight. They had to invent the idea of direction of prayer around the planet. Yeah, so I guess the whole direction thing, I mean, if you're on...
It gets messy.
Geographically dead through the center of the earth on the other side, are you going to be like hanging from your feet to be able to pray? And if you're going to get into a proper kneeling position, hanging there, man, you got to have some strong abdominal muscles to be able to pull that off. That would be kind of tough. Okay, so Mormons are... oops, sorry about that. Mormons are better people than GR. Some of these names you guys come up with, man, I don't know. And then I think, there's more. I'm sorry, I'm skipping it down here. Wow, a lot more. Remember early, this is Truth Defenders. Remember early Mormons had blood atonement for certain sins. They had an army and wanted to overthrow the government. Very violent starts.
Yeah, but they reformed themselves since then. Yeah, again, it's fabricated, so just change whatever you want at that.
Yeah, they were kicked out. That's why they had to head out to. And, you could look at that as sort of being like the Hajj, right? I mean, the
Hajj.
I mean, when they escaped
from Mecca. Yeah, you can see that's a parallel.
Yeah, a parallel there. Okay, so I'm going to start to just look for a few more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Also, there is an affidavit quoting Muhammad as saying, I will be a second Muhammad. I wonder if you mean Joseph Smith. I will be a second Muhammad, meaning he would slaughter his enemies. Okay. Wow, that's a lot different from... See,
I'd have to look into it more. Again, I'm not that familiar with Mormons.
Right. Islam prayer goes in a great circle around the earth to Mecca. Yes. So we're not talking about...
As long as there's no women in front of you, or donkeys, or cows, or anything like that.
See, how would you know? If you're thousands of miles away, how would you know what's in between you?
That's just it. There's no like, well, if there's a woman 5 feet in front of you, it's invalidated, but anything beyond that, it's fine. No, it's period. If there's ever a woman in front of you while you're praying, your prayers are invalidated.
Wow. So I'm going to pop this one up here. Yusuf.
Hey, Yusuf.
Do you know how to pronounce his last name?
Nope. I will butcher the snot out of it.
I am so sorry. I cannot pronounce your last.
It's good to see you again, bud.
So, and then, quoting Smith. That's why I was wondering, because it looked a little... Yeah, your original statement here didn't make a whole lot of sense. So Joseph Smith, and an affidavit for Muhammad. I'm not sure if they had affidavits back then, but Joseph Smith, 1800s, yes, affidavit quoting Muhammad as saying, quoting Joseph Smith as saying, I will be a second Muhammad. Man, he was actually going for that.
Oh, no, he was. Joseph Smith knew what he was doing.
Wow.
where you can make the argument that Mohamad was just freaking nuts.
Wow.
Joseph Smith knew exactly what he was doing.
Okay.
He was fabricating a religion, and he wanted it this way.
Wow. Well, I apologize to anyone who is coming late. We are just wrapping up.
You have to rewind to watch all the cards of.
Yeah, it was fun. The game was fun. The game was fun. So we are going to be doing something similar now. Instead of Tuesday coming up, we are looking at next Monday as being our next live stream. And the reason for that is we have a schedule conflict coming up and can't do it Tuesday. So Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, that's New York time, we are going to be doing a Mandela effect. I might be changing this.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm going to be changing the thumbnail here. We're going to be participating with you guys. And like you see here with the monocled Monopoly guy, did he have a monocle?
Or did he not?
Or did he not? And these kind of questions would be asking. We're going to go back and forth on some of these. We did a few of them, 3
I
of them.
will be asking the questions. I have 50 of them ready. You will be answering them. The chat will be answering them. We'll give you some guys time to respond. And even if you catch the live stream afterwards, you can play along and participate and just keep track of your score and make sure to put it in the comments so we know afterwards.
I will be answering. I cannot promise I will be answering correctly.
We'll see how many of you guys fall for
these. Of the 3 that we did in the previous live stream, I was 0 for 3. Not a 1. I don't think I got correct.
Well, we'll keep better score this time.
It's a 50-50 shot on some of these, whether you get it right or not, right?
Well, what's so bad is there was a 50-50 shot last time, and you made something up completely different.
I went to the
from
negatives.
One of them. It's like you got the Mandela effect.
Yeah, both double. And so then I also want to put a quick plug in to say that 3 short stories out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Apple and all the major distributors. These are only in ebook form. I'm playing with the idea of actually having these in audiobook form. I didn't think that was going to work well with short stories. And then there's another one coming out. So we've got A Taste of Earth was in July. Then August was Death Has No Shadow. September, now Cohesion Lost. Another one coming out the beginning of next month. And then November, the novel coming out. I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to be the first of a series. Sci-fi, Christian sci-fi, there's time travel, there's aliens, dogs and cats, falling from the sky. Everything's going to be in there. It's going to be good. Looking forward to it. So,
yeah. Do remember, if you want us to actually print these cards off and do an entire set on this concept, leave that in the comments below.
Oh, okay.
Let us know. Let us know if you'd be interested in these talking points and references on cards that you could easily pull out.
I did these cards. Okay. I will spend a little more time on the cards. So I spent a lot of time on them, but if we actually do a playing
they would actually
like
have the full readouts, and you could actually use them in conversation, with the full reference.
That would be kind of cool.
Actually, David Wood talked about doing something similar to that. So if there's actually an interest in that, we might have to follow up.
Almost like a discussion. Instead of like having a track, you would have these like counter cards and stuff like that.
Counter cards, what topic they're talking about, with the references ready to go. Those would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that does sound like a good idea. All right. So don't forget, Monday and not Tuesday, Mandela Effect, and we'll see where things go from there. Until then, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you there.